fam, we're doing brake lights today. So Fiery 49, despite just about all the rest of the exterior lighting working, the brake lights have been very erratic. It's one of those things, you check it and they're on, and then you go drive and it's like, huh, they're not working. And we found bad wiring. The bulbs have always been good, so they're still in there good. The housings had some internal shorts that would short out and cause problems, which may have contributed at least to the failure of this. So the wiring from this switch back to the brake lights is now good. The housings are good, bulbs are good, but the brake light switch is not operating as it should. So this switch lives under the hood on the firewall, is held on to the firewall floor pan. Just 2 screws from the interior. Takes about 5 minutes to get this off. Pop 2 wires off, take 2 screws out, and this thing literally falls off the truck. But how it works is, when it's bolted in place, the brake pedal itself makes physical contact with the switch, and when it's up like this and the brake pedal is not depressed, this switch should open the circuit where voltage that's always constant here does not come out this side of the switch. When you push the brake pedal down and the lever comes down, the switch is supposed to close internally and allow the 12 volts that's always here to then reach this side of the switch and send 12 volts back to the rest of the wiring and the lights in the back, and that turns the brake lights on. With an ohm meter on this going through the sweep, it does what it's supposed to in the off position. It's definitely off. The problem is, as it comes through the rest of the sweep, there's only 2 very small spots within the sweep that are making consistent contact. Other than that, it's erratic. The volt or the ohms vary. It's just a mess. So internally, this is just messed up, not worth fixing. $12 part. We'll get one order to get that replaced, and then the brake lights also should then be done. And just one more small step to getting Fiery 49 fully functional, repaired, and as road ready as a 49 Chevrolet can be. So there you go. Brake light, switch, 49 Chevrolet. Simple stuff. All right, it's loud in here, so the narration may not be great, but just taking the truck out for a short drive here on the little back road near where we keep the Fiery 49 parked. The only thing I want to try and show in the video, if you saw our previous stuff, you know we put in the electronic ignition module from Electronics with the flamethrower tube coil on. Very happy the other day with how it performed. The main thing I want to show today is, as we come to the top of this hill, the next hill coming up, before we installed those components, absolutely could not get up this hill without shifting down to at least 3rd gear and a good running shot. We're going to hit it in 4th gear and not working the truck really hard and just show it will climb the hill now without changing out of 4th gear. Right about here before, the truck would start lugging, spinning, backfiring. Just would not lug up the hill in 4th gear. You had to downshift. You had to carry a lot more speed. But we're getting a lot better ignition, complete ignition and combustion happening in the cylinders. So I never had to leave 4th gear. We didn't climb the hill, weren't gaining speed, but it just shows how much better the ignition is working, igniting that air-fuel mixture in the cylinder. We just pulled that hill in 4th gear, didn't hit it fast. Basically, it lugged down, maintained its speed, made good power. 85 horsepower was the rating for this engine, so it's not a horsepower monster, but it's mainly demonstrating the fact that you climb that hill that before absolutely required at least 1 downshift. If you didn't carry some speed, you may wind up having to go to 2nd gear because of the backfiring and the engine just not enjoying it. It wouldn't lug. With the Electronics electronic ignition trigger and the 12-volt coil, clearly getting much better combustion. The truck's running better. You can lug it. Inline 6 cylinders are known for their low end torque. That's why they're good truck engines. Why that design is still used in heavy haul trucks today. But we had ignition breaking down with the old original components. That's why we upgraded. So even on our 85 low horsepower engine, that's a significant driving improvement. Just makes the truck much more drivable, more enjoyable. It can lug without the spinning and the backfiring and all that. So anyway, very, very happy with the short time we've had the Electronics components, but man, they have done a great job in the drivability of the truck. Probably can even make it through this turn in 4th gear without a downshift. Let's see, coming out in 4th gear, you can hear as I roll back in the throttle, the truck lugs down, but it doesn't backfire, it doesn't spit, it doesn't hesitate. Throttle rolls right in. And you can hear without a downshift, we're picking speed back up on the flat now. We'll climb this hill, just running so much better with the upgraded ignition. All right, as we come back to the downhill portion of the hill we climbed earlier, climbed it in 4th gear. But the hill, the paving on the hill is very rough, so with this 1.5-ton truck chassis, with the potholes and stuff, super rough going down. So I am going to downshift going down the hill. To go down the hill, save on the brakes, use the engine for braking. What used to happen before we changed the ignition components, it would basically load up because the engine is spinning without working, air being drawn through. That carb would load up, and we get a really rich mixture in the intake on the side. At the bottom of the hill, when you roll back in the throttle, all that buildup with the fuel that hadn't burned, you get a big backfire, you want to spit and sputter, and take a few seconds to clear out. We'll go down the hill, downshift it now in 3rd gear. So we're using the engine to slow us down along with a little braking. You'll see the shaking. The potholes here are rough, but since our ignition is working so good even at idle and burning that fuel, as we get to the bottom of the hill and roll back in the throttle, it just rolls right back in. It doesn't backfire. We don't get any loud pops or stuttering or hesitation. So we're at the bottom of the hill, right back in the throttle. Drive's awesome. 2 4th gear and we'll lug right up this hill. Amazing difference in the drivability. All right, we're getting ready to pack up for the day, and we're going to take the lower part of our seat with us. Bench seat the truck. This is the lower portion. If you've watched other videos, you know our stitching along the driver's side has failed, coming apart, and it's exposing what's inside these. So obviously a 1949 truck, different materials than what we have now. Outside cover, interior padding, and then I'm not quite sure. I believe this to be a horsehair pad, which is pretty common, but they also use coconut fibers. But I believe due to the inconsistency in color, that's probably more horsehair than coconut fiber. But you can see the underside. Before we stick it in the car and take it home, our rodent friends have again nested in the truck. We cleaned this out once before, but the truck is sitting in basically a warehouse, and the mice love it. So they're repurposing a lot of materials they're finding elsewhere for the nest, but also they're taking padding from the top of the seat, the horsehair, coconut fiber, and nesting again. You can see how much they've relocated. It wraps around on the inside, but they've relocated. Made a couple nests again, so just gonna go ahead and bite the bullet, take this off. Not gonna try and save the original cover. Looking at it now, we can see several repairs. Looks to have been stitched once before now that we've got it out. And quite honestly, new covers are just so economically cheap compared to probably fixing it that I can order one that's already made and slide it on with the original look and do it probably, it looks like, for about half of what fixing would do, and then it's new materials and I don't have to worry about stitches breaking. And I am kind of wondering if our if the rodent friends aren't some of what led to that letting go, because you can tell here a lot of that material that used to be in the corner, including where the stitching was at, has been relocated under the seat. So maybe maybe my mouse friends decided that it was time to recover the seat and expedited that for me. I'm not sure, but that's what the bottom side looks like. You can see these old seats, basically metal frame, metal springs tied together. There's a spring pocket surrounded by burlap, and then the horsehair padding and other stuff on top that covers it. But very simple. It's actually a pretty comfortable seat, but it's not like the molded foams and stuff you see now. But old mattresses, car seats, a lot of that stuff had that type of construction up until about the 60s, when all the molded latexes and plastics, polyurethanes, that kind of stuff took over. But anyway, but that's the underside of a 1949 Chevrolet seat with some remodeling by rodents. But we'll get a cover ordered, get that replaced, get our seat back in good condition, and go back to riding in style versus a ratty, pun intended, condition.